Hello everyone, and welcome to this story. Today we are going to talk about one of the most famous and successful football players in the history of the game, Cristiano Ronaldo. But this is not simply a story about goals, trophies, expensive cars, or fame. This is the story of a boy who came from a small island, dreamed of becoming a great footballer, faced difficult moments, worked harder than most people around him, and eventually became a global superstar. So how did Cristiano Ronaldo become successful? Where did his journey begin? What challenges did he face? And what can we learn from his life? Today we are going to discover the story step by step. Cristiano Ronaldo was born in 1985 on the Portuguese island of Madeira. He grew up in a simple family and loved football from an early age. While other children were playing for fun, Ronaldo dreamed about becoming a professional. He spent hours with a ball, practicing whenever he could. His dream was simple. One day, he wanted the whole world to know his name. Ronaldo was still very young when people around him noticed something special. He was extremely determined. He wanted to win every game and hated losing. Football was not just entertainment for him. It became his passion. He understood that talent alone was not enough, so he began working harder than many children around him. His dream started becoming a serious goal. As Ronaldo became more serious about football, he understood that Madeira could not give him everything he needed. He needed a bigger opportunity. Leaving home was extremely difficult for such a young boy. He had to leave his family and enter an unfamiliar world. But Ronaldo accepted the sacrifice because he believed his dream was worth it. Ronaldo joined Sporting CP's academy in Lisbon. Suddenly, he was surrounded by talented young players and professional coaches. Life was very different from Madeira. He had to train hard, study football, and compete every day. Being talented was no longer enough. He had to prove himself constantly. This difficult environment helped prepare him for the future. Life away from his family was not easy. Ronaldo was young and sometimes felt lonely. He missed his home and the people he loved. But instead of giving up, he focused on football. Every difficult day became another reason to work harder. He learned an important lesson early. Sometimes, achieving a dream requires leaving your comfort zone. At Sporting, Ronaldo's talent became impossible to ignore. He was fast, skillful, and fearless with the ball. He loved taking on defenders and trying new moves. Coaches could see that he had unusual potential. But what made him different was not only his talent. Ronaldo wanted to improve constantly. He was willing to practice again and again until he became better. One match changed everything. Sporting played against Manchester United in a friendly, and Ronaldo impressed the English players with his performance. Manchester United manager Sir Alex Ferguson noticed him. Soon, one of the biggest clubs in the world wanted the young Portuguese player. Ronaldo had finally reached the door he had dreamed about. In 2003, Ronaldo joined Manchester United as a teenager. The pressure was enormous. He was young, inexperienced, and playing in one of the biggest clubs in the world. But he was not afraid of hard work. He trained, learned from experienced players, and slowly developed his skills. His journey to becoming a superstar had officially begun. At Manchester United, Ronaldo eventually received the famous number 7 shirt. The number had belonged to legendary players before him, so the responsibility was huge. Some people questioned whether a young player could handle it. Ronaldo accepted the challenge. Instead of being scared by the expectations, he used them as motivation to become better. Ronaldo did not become a superstar immediately. He made mistakes, lost the ball, and sometimes frustrated supporters. But every mistake taught him something. He learned to make better decisions and become more effective. The important thing was that he never stopped improving. Failure became part of his education. Ronaldo's transformation was strongly connected to training. He worked on speed, strength, dribbling, shooting, and movement. He stayed after training and practiced. He wanted to improve every part of his game. While many people saw only the goals, they did not see the countless hours that created those moments. As the years passed, Ronaldo became physically stronger. His speed remained one of his biggest weapons, but now he could also handle physical defenders. He developed a powerful shot and became dangerous in the air. His game was changing. The talented teenager was slowly becoming a complete professional footballer. Ronaldo began winning trophies with Manchester United. These victories gave him confidence and experience. He learned how to perform under pressure and how to handle important matches. Winning taught him that hard work could produce real results. But instead of becoming satisfied, he wanted more. Ronaldo's performances became better every season. He scored more goals, created more chances, and became more confident. Supporters started seeing him as one of the team's most important players. His name was becoming famous outside England too. The young boy from Madeira was becoming an international football star. The Champions League was one of Ronaldo's biggest dreams. European football brought stronger opponents and greater pressure. Ronaldo wanted to prove himself against the best players in Europe. Every match became an opportunity. He knew that becoming great meant performing when the stakes were highest. In 2008, Manchester United reached the Champions League final against Chelsea. Ronaldo scored during the match, but the game eventually went to penalties. The pressure was enormous. Ronaldo missed his penalty, and, for a moment, it looked like everything was lost. But Manchester United eventually won. Ronaldo experienced both pain and victory on the same night. Missing that penalty could have destroyed Ronaldo's confidence. Instead, it became another lesson. Football can be cruel. Even great players make mistakes. The difference is how they respond. Ronaldo continued working and refused to allow one painful moment to define him. Failure became fuel for his future. Ronaldo's 2007-08 season became one of the most important periods of his career. He scored an incredible number of goals and helped Manchester United win major trophies. His performances were so strong that he won the Ballon d'Or. The world was beginning to recognize that Ronaldo was no longer just a talented player. He was becoming one of the best. Success did not make Ronaldo stop dreaming. Instead, his goals became bigger. He wanted more trophies, more goals, and more records. He wanted to become the best player in the world. His mentality was simple. If something could be improved, he wanted to improve it. He was never completely satisfied. In 2009, Ronaldo made another huge decision. He moved from Manchester United to Real Madrid. The transfer created enormous attention around the world. Real Madrid was one of football's greatest clubs, and the expectations were massive. Ronaldo now had a new challenge: prove himself in Spain. Thousands of supporters came to see Ronaldo introduced as a Real Madrid player. The stadium was full of excitement. Ronaldo stood in front of the crowd, knowing that expectations were enormous. He had become one of the most expensive players in football history. But he was not thinking about the price. He was thinking about what he could achieve. Real Madrid was different from Manchester United. Ronaldo had to adapt to a new league, new teammates, and a new style of football. He understood that previous success meant nothing if he could not perform again. So he returned to work. He trained, learned, and prepared for another difficult challenge. Ronaldo quickly began scoring goals for Real Madrid. His finishing became more powerful and consistent. He could score with either foot, from distance, inside the box, and from free kicks. His ability to find the net made him one of the most dangerous attackers in the world. At Real Madrid, every mistake was discussed by the media. Every goal was celebrated. Every poor performance created criticism. Ronaldo learned to live with enormous attention. Instead of avoiding pressure, he accepted it. He understood that pressure often comes with great opportunities. Spanish football demanded technical ability and intelligent movement. Ronaldo had to adapt again. He learned how defenders played and how teams controlled possession. He improved his movement without the ball and became more efficient. Adaptation became one of his greatest strengths. At Barcelona, Lionel Messi was becoming another global superstar. Soon, Ronaldo and Messi were competing in the same league. Their rivalry became one of the greatest in football history. They competed for goals, trophies, records, and individual awards. Their competition pushed both players to incredible levels. Every great performance by Messi created pressure on Ronaldo. Every great performance by Ronaldo created pressure on Messi. Ronaldo could have become discouraged, but he chose another path. He worked harder. He wanted to improve every part of his game. Competition became motivation. Ronaldo's playing style slowly changed. When he was younger, he depended heavily on dribbling and speed. As he became older, he focused more on movement and finishing. He learned where to stand, when to run, and when to conserve energy. His game became more intelligent and efficient. Ronaldo developed into an extraordinary goal scorer. He could score with powerful shots, headers, penalties, free kicks, and quick finishes. Defenders never knew exactly what he would do. His ability to score consistently made him one of the most feared attackers in football. Ronaldo wanted to win the Champions League with Real Madrid. The club had a huge history in the competition, but success was not guaranteed. Season after season, Ronaldo and his teammates faced Europe's strongest teams. Every knockout match brought pressure. Ronaldo wanted to prove himself on the biggest stage again. Not every Champions League campaign ended with victory. Real Madrid experienced disappointing defeats. Ronaldo also had poor matches. But these moments were important. They showed that success does not happen without setbacks. Instead of giving up, The team returned stronger. Ronaldo became famous for his focus. Before important matches, he prepared himself mentally and physically. He understood that small details could decide a game. His routine, training, recovery, and preparation all mattered. Great performances were not accidents. They were prepared long before the match began. In 2014, Real Madrid finally won another Champions League title. The final against Atletico Madrid was dramatic and went into extra time. Real Madrid eventually won. Ronaldo celebrated another European triumph. Years of work had produced another major trophy. Fans usually see the final celebration. They see the trophy and the cameras. But they do not see the early training sessions, recovery, diet, injuries, and difficult days. Ronaldo's success was built away from the spotlight. The glamorous moment was only the result of thousands of ordinary hours. Ronaldo continued scoring at an extraordinary rate. He scored against different teams, in different stadiums, and in different competitions. His consistency became more impressive every season. He was not producing one great year. He was repeating his success again and again. Ronaldo worked on more than football skills. He trained his body carefully and paid attention to recovery and nutrition. He understood that professional football requires physical preparation every day. His body became an important part of his success. He treated fitness as seriously as football. In 2016, Real Madrid reached another Champions League final against Atletico Madrid. The match was extremely tense and eventually went to penalties. Ronaldo took the decisive penalty and scored. Real Madrid became champions. Once again, Ronaldo had performed under enormous pressure. Ronaldo had achieved many things with clubs, but he wanted success with Portugal. Playing for his country meant something different. In 2016, Portugal reached the European Championship final. Ronaldo dreamed of lifting the trophy, but the final would become one of the most emotional matches of his career. During the Euro 2016 final, Ronaldo suffered an injury and had to leave the pitch. He was devastated because he wanted to help Portugal win, but he refused to stop supporting his teammates. From the sideline, he encouraged them and showed his belief. His role had changed, but his leadership remained. Portugal continued fighting and eventually won the European Championship. Ronaldo celebrated with his teammates. He had not finished the match on the field, but he had been part of the journey. For him, winning with Portugal was deeply personal. It represented his country and a dream from childhood. The victory taught Ronaldo another lesson. Leadership is not only about scoring goals. Sometimes it means supporting others when you cannot play. Sometimes it means giving teammates confidence. Ronaldo understood that being a leader also means helping the people around you believe they can win. Real Madrid continued dominating Europe. In 2017, they won the Champions League again, and in 2018, they won it once more. 3 consecutive Champions League titles were an incredible achievement. Ronaldo played a major role in those victories. His performances in important matches became part of football history. In the 2017 Champions League final against Juventus, Ronaldo scored twice. Real Madrid eventually won 4-1. He had once again delivered when the pressure was highest. The performance showed why he was considered one of the world's greatest big-game players. Winning once is difficult. Winning twice is even harder. Winning 3 times in a row requires extraordinary consistency. Real Madrid managed to do it. Ronaldo's contribution was enormous. The achievement became one of the strongest parts of his legacy in European football. Ronaldo understood that football changes with age. He could not play exactly like he did as a young winger. Instead, he changed his game. He became more focused on positioning, movement, and finishing. This ability to change helped him remain dangerous, even as he became older. After almost a decade at Real Madrid, Ronaldo decided to leave in 2018. He had scored hundreds of goals and won major trophies. Leaving was emotional for many supporters, but Ronaldo wanted another challenge. He had already conquered Spain, and now he wanted to test himself somewhere new. Ronaldo joined Juventus in 2018. Moving to Italy meant starting again. He had to learn a different football culture and adapt to a tactical league. Some people questioned whether he could continue performing at his age. Ronaldo decided to answer those questions on the field. Ronaldo continued scoring for Juventus. He proved that his success was not limited to one club or one league. His goals kept coming. His experience helped him understand defenders and choose better positions. He was becoming less dependent on raw speed and more dependent on intelligence. As Ronaldo became older, people talked more about his age, but he continued training seriously. He focused on recovery, nutrition, strength, and fitness. He understood that staying at the top required more care. Age was becoming a challenge, but Ronaldo treated it as something to manage rather than an excuse. Ronaldo had now played against generations of great defenders. He had experienced finals, victories, defeats, injuries, and pressure. All of these experiences made him smarter. He knew how important matches felt and how to prepare for them. His experience became one of his biggest advantages. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic changed football and everyday life. Stadiums became empty, and matches were played in unusual conditions. Players lost the energy of huge crowds. Ronaldo also had to adapt. It was another reminder that circumstances can change suddenly, and successful people must learn to adjust. In 2021, Ronaldo returned to Manchester United. The supporters were excited to see him back at Old Trafford. But he was no longer the teenager who had first arrived there. He returned as an experienced champion, a record holder, and one of football's most famous players. The expectations were enormous. Fans remembered the young Ronaldo who had amazed them years earlier. But football had changed, and Ronaldo had changed too. He could not return to being 20 years old. Instead, he had to use his experience, finishing, movement, and mentality to create a new chapter. Ronaldo's second period at Manchester United was complicated. There were brilliant moments and important goals, but there were also difficult matches, criticism, and disagreements. Eventually, the relationship ended. It was not the perfect ending he had imagined, but difficult endings are sometimes part of a bigger journey. In 2023, Ronaldo began another chapter in Saudi Arabia with Al Nassr. Some people were surprised by the decision. But Ronaldo still wanted to play and compete. He was entering a completely different football environment. Once again, he had to adapt and prove that he could continue performing. Saudi Arabia was very different from the football environments Ronaldo knew in Europe. The culture, climate, and league were new to him. But adaptation had always been part of his career. He learned the environment, trained with his new teammates, and continued working toward new goals. Even at an age when many professional players had retired, Ronaldo continued training. He did not want to live only on his past achievements. He wanted to keep performing in the present. Training, recovery, and preparation still mattered to him. His career had become an example of extraordinary longevity. Ronaldo continued, adding goals and appearances to his career. His statistics became extraordinary. But the most impressive part was his consistency over many years. Football changed around him, but he continued finding ways to score. His ability to adapt helped him remain relevant. Ronaldo's connection with Portugal remained strong. He had represented his country for many years and experienced both unforgettable victories and painful defeats. Now, he was one of the most experienced players in the national team. Younger players could learn from everything he had experienced. Many younger Portuguese players grew up watching Ronaldo. They had seen his goals and copied his celebrations. Now, they were sharing the same dressing room with him. Ronaldo's role had changed. He was not only a star anymore. He had become a mentor and an example for a new generation. So what made Ronaldo successful? It was not one secret trick. Talent gave him an opportunity, but discipline kept him moving forward. He trained when people were watching, and when nobody was watching. He learned from failure, changed his style, and kept setting new goals. Ronaldo's story shows that dreams are only the beginning. Saying you want something is easy. Working for it every day is much harder. Ronaldo turned his dream into a routine. Training, sacrifice, discipline, and patience slowly transformed his childhood dream into reality. Ronaldo experienced missed penalties, injuries, defeats, criticism, and difficult periods. None of them ended his story. Every setback became another lesson. This is one of the most important messages from his career. Failure can hurt you, but it does not have to define you. As Ronaldo became older, people questioned whether he could still compete. Instead of stopping, he changed his approach. He focused more on recovery, movement, positioning, and experience. He understood that his body was changing, but he could still improve his game through intelligence and preparation. Ronaldo had played in huge finals and against generations of great defenders. He knew how pressure felt and how important moments developed. His physical abilities changed with age, but his football knowledge grew. Experience became another weapon that helped him stay competitive. The COVID-19 pandemic changed football in 2020. Stadiums became empty, and matches were played without normal crowds. Players had to adapt mentally and physically. Ronaldo continued working despite the unusual circumstances. It showed another important quality. When you cannot control the situation, control your response. In 2021, Ronaldo returned to Manchester United. The club where he had become a star welcomed him back. The supporters were excited, but Ronaldo returned as a completely different person. He had years of experience, trophies, and records behind him. The emotional reunion created huge expectations. Everyone remembered the young Ronaldo from his first Manchester United period. But more than a decade had passed. He was older, and football had changed. He could not become his younger self again. Instead, he had to use his experience, finishing, positioning, and mentality to compete at the highest possible level. Ronaldo's second Manchester United chapter was not perfect. There were goals and great moments, but also criticism and difficult situations. Eventually, the relationship ended. It was painful, but not every chapter ends the way we expect. When one door closes, the important question is what you choose to do next. After Manchester United, Ronaldo faced another decision about his future. He had already played in England, Spain, and Italy. He had won almost everything, but he still wanted to continue. In 2023, he joined Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia and opened another chapter in his extraordinary career. Joining Al Nassr meant entering a new environment. Ronaldo had to meet new teammates, understand a different league, and adjust to another football culture. Starting again was nothing new for him. Throughout his career, he had repeatedly entered unfamiliar situations and found ways to adapt. Saudi Arabia was different from the European football world Ronaldo had known for many years. The climate, culture, and football environment were new, but he understood that adaptation was necessary. Instead of expecting everything to be familiar, he focused on learning and continuing his work. Ronaldo continued training even when many players his age had already retired. He did not want to depend only on his past achievements. He wanted to stay active and competitive. His commitment to training became one of the clearest examples of his mentality. Success requires continuous effort. Even late in his career, Ronaldo continued adding goals and records. He had already achieved incredible numbers, but he kept moving forward. The most impressive part was not one statistic. It was his ability to remain productive across many years, teams, countries, and generations. Despite playing club football far from Europe, Ronaldo continued representing Portugal. The national team remained an important part of his identity. He had experienced unforgettable victories and painful defeats with his country. Now he was one of the most experienced leaders in the squad. Many young players grew up watching Ronaldo. Now, some of them had the chance to train and play beside him. They could see his preparation and discipline closely. His influence was no longer only about goals. He had become an example of what long-term dedication could achieve. The secret behind Ronaldo's success was not simply talent. Talent opened the door, but discipline kept him moving. He trained, recovered, learned, adapted, and continued setting goals. He understood that greatness is not created by one perfect moment. It is created by thousands of decisions repeated over many years. Remember where the story began. A young boy from Madeira with a football and a dream. He did not begin with fame, trophies, or millions of followers. He began with ambition. Through sacrifice, training, failure, and persistence, that boy became one of the most recognized athletes in the world. Cristiano Ronaldo's story is bigger than football. It is a story about discipline, ambition, failure, and persistence. You may not have his talent or opportunities, but you can control your effort. Dream big. Work when nobody is watching. Learn from failure. Keep moving forward. Success is not created in one day. It is built through thousands of small decisions.